Welcome to the G5 Hive and our next installment of our Worker Bee series, where we deep dive into the G5 college football landscape with the folks that know the teams the best. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. And if you're listening in podcast form, please rate and review. Today, we will be taking a look at the Western Michigan Broncos, who finished 4-8 last season and wrapped up their 2024 spring practice with the spring game on April 20th. We have a special guest joining us today. Please welcome to the show. He is a Western Michigan sports enthusiast and former Buster the Bronco. He is Justin Baker, also known as Brigadier Bronco. Justin can be found on X at Brigadier Bronco. Welcome to the show, Justin.
Hey, thank you for having me, man. Great to be here.
Let the folks know a little bit about yourself and your love for Western Michigan.
That's my alma mater. It's my second home. When I went there, I worked for the athletic department, as well as being Buster the Bronco for a couple of years. So basically, I just been hardcore fan since the day I started there to today. I mean, I follow all the sports, cheer for it like it's any other team.
What was it like being the mascot and being Buster?
It was a lot of good, but there's a lot of stress that goes along with having to do that. It's a very sweaty ordeal. Some mascot outfits have fans in them. Mine did not have a fan in it. So by the end of 2 hours of being in that suit, I am just caked sweat. But aside from all that, it was really nice. I have a lot of school spirit, and when I saw that they wanted to get some new Buster Broncos into business, I was like, absolutely, like that's going to be a great outlet for all my spirit. So yeah, it was a lot of fun being close to the program. For something I really loved already, it was awesome being that close to it.
What would you say was your most memorable experience being Buster?
Being Buster. That's a good question. So many experiences. I would say one of my favorite ones was they had a Thanksgiving run in Kalamazoo called the Turkey Trot. And I was working that day, and what I did was I snuck off to the side and came back to the course, the path that people were running, and I came back right towards the end, and I acted like I was running the whole thing, and I got to the finish line, and everyone started clapping, and it was kind of funny.
Pretty awesome.
But there's so many good memories.
I'm sure. I can't even imagine. I don't know, it just seems like it'd be a load of fun, and I guess fortunately, at least in some cases, at least you're pretty far up north, right? So I guess it's at least better than being down in Miami or somewhere in Florida and having to wear the uniform.
Yeah, absolutely. People passed out up here, so people would pass out sometimes. So I'm sure it would have been a trip to the hospital if I was in Miami. 100%.
All righty. In 2024, the Broncos will have a new offensive coordinator, Walt Bell. He was last the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach for Indiana. What can you tell us about Coach Bell and what he brings to the table for Western Michigan?
Sure. So he's young, which I like. It's something you see a lot on our staff. There we got a lot of young folks, which I love. He's 40 years old. He used to be head coach at UMass, which is now joining the MAC, which is pretty darn cool. So he's going to get to coach against his alma mater at some point. I like that he's going to come in. He's probably going to be a pass-first offense. And with Hayden Wolf, he has become the front runner, obviously, and is going to be starting QB. I think with his arm and his skill and in our receiving core, I think it's going to mean a lot of offense and a lot of big-time plays, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited. You see a lot of different things online from previous schools talking about him. Maybe he didn't have as much success at his last schools, and a lot of talking down, but I trust LT, Lance Taylor, our head coach, in his judgment and getting a good guy. So I'm really excited to see the progress of the offense and what he can do.
Now, last season, was it Billy Kosh that called the plays, or was that Lance Taylor?
So I'm not sure. Probably maybe a little bit of both. I wasn't privy to those conversations, but we're going to find out this year.
Yeah, because, one thing like I really noticed about Western Michigan last year was the number of plays they were running per game. It was very fast paced. So I was just kind of trying to figure out, are we going to see a change in that with Walt Bell, or is that really more Lance Taylor's doing why they ran so many plays, and we can expect that to continue this year? Or
I have a feeling it's going to continue just from the energy that LT brings to the team. It's going to be fast paced. It's going to be in your face. It's going to be smash mouth football. So I think we're going to keep up the tempo 100%.
Awesome. So let's go over to the quarterback position. You already mentioned Hayden Wolf earlier. So he returns from 2023 when he was the starter. However, that room behind him kind of took a little bit of a makeover in the offseason. They lost Trayson Bourget to BYU, Jack Salopek to the portal. They bring in Brock Lowry from Indiana. How did that quarterback room look and shape up in the spring?
Yeah, so I think last year was very interesting. We had, to use the phrase, too many cooks. We had too many cooks on offense. We had like 3 different possible starting quarterbacks. And, we started off the season with Salopek, which he had the previous season to kind of show what he could do. And there was definitely flashes of real good quarterback play. But at the end of the previous season, I think we should have been done with him. There was a transfer, obviously, of head coach, and I think they wanted to give him a chance at the beginning of the next season to kind of earn his spot back. But I think we played him a little too much, and we lost a lot of our opening games and just did not look good on offense. So after that, we put in Trayson Bourget, obviously, and he did what he needed to do. He was put in, at least at the beginning, at the end of games that Salopek had been kind of not playing well in. So, and he righted the ship for a lot of those games, maybe not winning. But yeah, Western Michigan, the fans love Trey. So I think it was good when we finally got Wolf out there, because he was 100% the best player. And I think a lot of Western fans saw that last year, that he was better than the other 2 guys. And a lot of the fans just wanted Wolf to be playing at all times. So now that it's slimmed down a lot, it's going to be Hayden Wolf all day long. And I think just having that solidity on offense is going to help. And we have a new head coach, and it's not going to be a new OC. It's not going to be who's going to be playing. Is he going to be able to which player is going to mesh best with offense? It's just going to be one guy probably playing quarterback, Hayden Wolf, and the development, I think, will come. So I'm liking it a lot better this year.
As an Old Dominion fan, we were talking before the show. I'm very familiar with Hayden Wolf. He was our quarterback. He was our quarterback for a number of years, and the thing I like best about Hayden, he throws a beautiful deep ball, right? He likes to throw it deep. He likes to throw it deep. He looks to throw. I feel like he likes to throw it deep often. And man, I feel like the deep ball is his specialty. So definitely excited to see more of that here in 2024.
Yep. Oh, and also person to look out for, this player. He's a freshman, JD Davis. I think he comes from Georgia, Grayson High School in Georgia. And apparently he had a historic senior year in high school last year. He was a great get. So I think in the coming seasons, he's going to sit behind Wolf and possibly come in and be a huge factor for us in these next coming years. So look out, JD Davis, man. True freshman.
Awesome. All right. Moving over to the running game, they lose CJ Hester to the portal, but they bring back the dynamic duo of Jalen Buckley and Zahir Abdul-Salam. Buckley kind of burst onto the scene last year. I think he was a redshirt freshman. He was the leading rusher with 997 yards and 10 touchdowns. Will we see that same 1-2 punch in 2024, or you think we'll see even more of Buckley?
So let me tell you this right now. It's going to be the Jalen Buckley show. He was outstanding last season. And from what I understand, he wasn't offered by like very many schools. I think his younger brother is also with the program as well. So hopefully he stays. But man, Jalen Buckley last year, so many yards, so many huge plays. The guy is a tank, absolute tank. Like he doesn't care what division, what Power 5, group of 5, doesn't matter who you are. He's probably going to run through you. So I think they're going to sprinkle in a little bit of Abdul Salam. You know, you can't run Buckley ragged at the beginning of the season. You got to give him some, some rest. But I think overall it's going to be Jalen Buckley. And I hope he can stay healthy because, man, he might be our next NFL draft pick. That's 100%.
Like I said, he kind of busted onto the scene last year, man. I'm excited to see even more things from him here in 2024.
Absolutely.
Moving over to the receivers, Western Michigan has a great history of producing NFL receivers, as we saw in that highlight video in the beginning. But they do lose Leroy Thomas, their second leading receiver from a year ago. They do bring back Anthony Sambuki, Malik Duadon, and their 2023 breakout receiver, Kenny Womack. They bring in New Mexico State transfer Jordan Parker and Bugs Mortimer from Louisiana Monroe. How did the wide receivers look in the spring?
So I think we got a lot of talent. Kenny Womack is probably ahead of the herd this season. I think he could be our next wide receiver draft pick too. I mean, like he literally catches everything. He runs great routes. Like he really, he was a bright spot of last season, despite our record. Like I think next year now we have solid quarterback play. We can get some chemistry between the quarterback and the wide receivers and develop. And I think he's going to be really good. Mortimer and Parker, they'll probably be like our slot guys. With Sambuchi and Parker and Dudon, this is going to be a 100%, 110% increase in touchdowns.
Yeah, that's one thing we noticed with Womack last year. So he had 76 receptions on 101 targets, but he only had one touchdown. So you definitely think he will see more than one touchdown from Kenny here in 2024?
Yes, I absolutely can guarantee it.
Do you think it's production in terms of like targets? He'll be another 100 target guy, or has there other wide receivers stepped up to maybe take off some of that load off of Kenny?
I think Sambuchi is always a great target. He runs great routes. I mean, I think there's going to be a lot more targets just with our new OC, and it's probably going to be a pass first offense. So hopefully we're going to lean less on Buckley, but then again, he's still going to be there. I think every single receiver is going to get more targets and hopefully more catches and more touchdowns. So
awesome. Moving over to the tight ends, they lose Austin Hentz to graduation and Mitch Bartol to Illinois State. However, Blake Bosma and Caden Morris return in 2024, and they also brought in Chris Tootle from NC State. What can you tell us about the tight ends and how they looked in the spring?
So they're looking good too. It's like I said, a lot of these players run a lot of great routes. They can all catch the ball. And I think just with this increase in passing and the new OC, I think it's going to open doors for everybody catching the ball. And then shout out to Austin Hentz, man. He is a WMU legend. Let me tell you. Last year, he scored his very first touchdown of his career as a 25-year-old, 7-year senior. Oh, man. He just grinded it out. And his father actually also went here
Awesome.
and played. So he's a legacy. He's a legend. And I'm just so happy for that dude. We're all so happy when he caught that, man.
Do you think with Walt Bell taking over, do you think the tight ends will be utilized in a similar way that they were in 2023, or will it be more or less? Or
I honestly don't know. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see, just to see what kind of offense he does end up rolling out. But but I predict more. I think they're going to be used differently. I think it's going to be a complete revamp of the offense. So I think anything's on the table, to be honest.
All right, moving over to the offensive line, they lose the left side of that during the offseason to graduation, but they bring back their center, Jacob Gideon, right guard, Addison West, right tackle, Jack Schuen. And then they also have some guys with experience on that left side, and John Hofer and Adam Vandervest. They also brought in Quinn Murphy coming over from Notre Dame. How did the offensive line shake up in the spring?
I think they got a lot of pieces. I really like Jacob Gideon. I mean, he is our anchor, 100%. I think he's going to have a really good year, and hopefully, with all these, got a lot of new players coming in. Hopefully, he can really set the tone for the rest of the O-line and show them how it's done. I think they're going to be pretty darn good. I'm really hopeful for this team. Like, I may be crying at the end of week 8 or whatever, but right now it feels really good with all these recruits and all these pieces moving, and we got LT at the helm. I think the O-line's looking pretty darn good.
It's it's all the off season is always the time for hope and optimism, right?
Right. There's got to be
if we don't have it, then when are we ever going to have it?
Right. Let me be delusional.
If you had to pick an offensive player to have a breakout type season here in 2024, who would that be?
So I think there's a couple candidates. I think tight end Blake Bosma. Obviously Jalen Buckley, Sam Bucci, and Womack. But I think out of all these guys, who I think are all going to have breakout seasons, I think the guy is Jalen Buckley. He's going to be, I promise you, he's going to be on SportsCenter at least once.
Awesome. Love to hear it. All right, let's move over to the defensive side of the ball. Overall, this group looks good with all the guys they have coming back in 2024. Let's talk about the defensive line. So they lose their top guy on that defensive line. He's now a Dallas Cowboy. That's Marshawn Kneeland. We saw him in the intro there. And they also lost Joshua Nobles to the transfer portal, but they bring back Mason Nelson, Corey Walker, Isaiah Green, and Tyson Lee, among others. How did the defensive line look in the spring, and did anyone stand out?
Just like that O-line, man, we are looking solid. We are looking good. I think one guy who stood out a lot and who's going to be an absolute force is Corey Walker. He is a 6'5", 270 edge rusher and 100% dog. I am so excited to watch him get better and hopefully dominate some of these other MAC teams. Popeye Williams is from Louisville, Ontario. Thompson is from Iowa. Rodney McGraw. I think they're all going to play. And a lot of them are some P5 guys. These are P5 guys who transferred over. And these aren't nobodies. I mean, these are big dudes. These are guys with skill. A couple of them learned under Coach Espo, our previous DC, and the ones that have been there for that, there was a real strong culture, and hopefully that can be carried over. Espo is now, I think he's an assistant coach for University of Michigan right now. I'm not sure in what capacity. I think maybe defense, but good for him. I mean, he was like a big part of the previous administration here, so I'm happy to see him get to move on up like that. So. But yeah, I think we're looking real good.
Popeye Williams, man, I'm really excited to see what he can do there at Western Michigan. I watched a lot of his high school film, and I was pretty jazzed for him to go to Louisville. And things didn't work out there for whatever reason, man. But the MAC always seems to find these edge defensive linemen that and they get drafted, right? The MAC in general has a great history of edge rusher. So, excited to hear about Corey Walker, excited to kind of see what Popeye Williams can do there at Western Michigan. Is there, if you had to pick somebody to say, hey, this is this year's Marshawn Kneeland, who would that be?
Corey Walker, man. Corey Walker. He's going to be the guy.
Awesome.
Mark my words.
All right, let's move over to the linebackers. They lose Nate Norris to graduation and Quentin Cannon to the portal, but they bring back a nice core in Damari Robertson, Jacob Wahlberg, Donald Willis, and more. How did the linebackers look in the spring?
Wow, no mention of Boone Bonema. Really, the disrespect? No, I'm just joking. I think Moon is going to be our back, who is going to probably step in and cause us not to lose much production from some of those more important players that are now gone. But yeah, I like our linebacker. We're looking stout. I'm excited about basically every part of this team. So I think they're going to be pretty good as well, even though we did lose some good pieces.
You brought in Purdue transfer Dominic Moon. Can you tell us how he looked and what you kind of role you expect for him in 2024?
So I think he's going to be thrown in there every once in a while, just to play some minutes. I think he's going to have an impact, 100%. He was a highly recruited. He's a great player. I mean, and they'll find a place for him on the team. I'm not exactly sure where, or how, but
gotcha. Going over to the defensive backfield, they lost Kenai Lovely to graduation, Sevion Brown to Buffalo, and Anthony Rumpf to Charlotte, but they bring back their top two leading tacklers from 2023 in safety, Tate Hollick and cornerback Aaron Wofford. They also returned Deshaun Bussell and Bilal Cone, among others, to make this a really strong secondary. Hey, how did these guys look in the spring?
They also look good. They're just improving every single chance they can get when they get on the field. I mean, we got great leadership with Tate Hollick. He's so important for that defense. And I think they're just looking to improve for the most part. There's a lot of young cats coming in. We'll have to see how it goes. But I think they're good.
Yeah, Tate Hollick's definitely someone I'm excited for. He had a great season last year, and excited to kind of see him repeat that here in 2024.
Absolutely.
All right. If you had to pick a defensive player to have a breakout type season here in 2024, who would that be?
Corey Walker.
Awesome. Hopefully he can be that the next NFL draft pick along that defensive line coming out of the MAC.
People are talking.
We don't often talk special teams, but I noticed that you guys lost your punter Carson Voss to Michigan State. Have they found someone to step into that role, or is that still a concern heading into fall camp?
Honestly, I don't. It doesn't look like we have somebody.
So hopefully
for that position.
Hopefully you get somebody here in the fall.
Right. Right. I mean, it's probably going to be Domsky or Lair, honestly. But hey, to be honest, we could just grab Charlie Strong from our conference championship winning soccer team. Kick some field goals. Maybe he'll come back from the MLS for a couple of games. Who knows?
Now that spring practice is over, which position group or groups do you think is the most concerning?
I'm honestly not sure. We got a lot of depth just about everywhere with these new guys coming in. I guess I'll have to say, this might sound crazy with all I've been saying about Buckley, but probably running back, because we have this guy.
Top two guys, that's not a lot of depth.
Yeah, not a lot of depth, and it's clear that Buckley is going to be a huge part of this offense. And if he gets injured, as running backs tend to do, there's no one's going to really make up for his production,
Gotcha.
So I guess that.
Is there any, I mean, the transfer portal's closed, and it's kind of things are really slowing down, but do you think there's any position in particular, maybe running back depth, they might still be looking for, or?
I mean, I guess running back, I guess.
Maybe just taking best, if some superstar falls in their lap, they're just kind of taking best available guys.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And our team's been doing a real good job of recruiting. We've been getting some solid guys. We have had so many additions over this past year that if they don't think they need any more people, I'm going to trust them,
Gotcha. What would you say is the main strength of this team?
I think it's our defensive front seven. I think it's gonna be real. I think it's
That's
gonna be real
awesome.
tough.
Losing Nealon and still being a strength. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, happy for that.
That speaks volumes to the depth and talent still sticking around.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's gonna be exciting to see if we can stop some of these high flying MAC offenses. It'd be fun.
When it comes to the recruitment of new players and the retention of existing players, NIL and transfer portal are huge, in today's college football world. What impacts have you seen that have there at Western Michigan?
So that's an interesting question. I think for the most part, the transfer portal has been good to us. The players that we are losing, it's not like they're going off to go play for Alabama or one of the big time schools. Is
Sure.
Mostly like lateral moves. I mean, we lost somebody to Buffalo, which just makes me sick. Absolutely makes me sick. But no, it's crazy because we're still losing players to PJ Fleck. Can I just say that? We're still losing players to PJ Fleck. We lost Corey Crooms. He was like going to be our next wide receiver, and he left. Our running back at the time, this was when we got LT as a coach, and Tim Lester was out the door.
Sean Tyler left and went over.
Yep. PJ Fleck made a call, and he got a running back. He got like our star wide receiver.
And he goes over there and he doesn't really get to play much.
Nope, and is undrafted free agent. So, but they did great stuff for us. I'm not going to hate on them. But I think the portal's been good. I haven't really seen much of the NIL. I haven't really heard. I know we have like a couple pretty big donors locally, but nothing too crazy that I've been hearing, like some other schools that rely on that to get like 5 stars.
Cool. So, it seems like with the NIL, the transfer portal, and then the head coach, he's got to recruit freshmen, right? He's recruiting from the transfer portal. He's got to worry about retaining his own roster, right? And player retention. And then you add fundraising on top of all that. And sometimes it seems like the head coach might be less involved with the X's and O's, so to speak. And he's more of like a general manager. Do you see that happening at Western Michigan, or is Taylor still very involved in the X's and O's side of things?
I think he's 100% involved with the X's and O's. I think that he feels that deep inside that he is coach. So that's something he's going to probably have a lot of say in, no matter what else he has to do, which is awesome. But yeah, there's definitely that general manager thing. It kind of like a community manager of the whole community. It's not even just football. So that's a really tough job. It is not easy, but if anyone can do it, it's LT, man.
Yeah, in this day and age, you see some. I feel like we saw it this past season with some coaches' movement, right? Chip Kelly leaves UCLA as the head coach, can be offensive coordinator. The head coach of Georgia State, Sean Elliott, leaves in the middle of spring practice to go be a tight ends coach. So, yeah, I think all these demands, it definitely is having its effect on some coaches, but we're glad to hear that Coach Taylor's still very involved there in the X's and O's. All right, the 2024 season is over. The dust has settled. You're now looking back on it. What has to happen for you to say this season was a success?
Beat Central, first off. Beat Central. I think play in the MAC championship game. I think we need to get there. I'm tired of not getting there. Everyone here is tired of not getting there.
Well, and
Oh,
this
that's
is
a
the
cool thing to
first year
happen.
with no divisions, right? So it's best top 2 teams.
Yep. Oh, and that's exciting too. But yeah, I think getting to the MAC championship game, man. Let's freaking get there. Everyone involved with WMU is tired of looking back and seeing the last cool thing to happen was with PJ Fleck. I think we're ready to move on. It feels different. Yeah, let's get to that MAC championship game.
Awesome. Well, we've talked a lot today. We've talked offense, defense. We even talked about some kickers. But is there anything else that you think that you'd like to share or think we should know about this 2024 Western Michigan Bronco football team?
We're coming. We are coming. Get ready. I think there is going to be a fun team. I think we're going to shock a lot of people, turn some heads. So the only thing I'd say is pay attention. We're coming.
I'm definitely looking forward to it. Well, thank you again, Justin, for sharing your time and knowledge with us today. We greatly appreciate it.
Of course, man. Thank you so much for having me, and go Broncos.
Go Broncos. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. And if you're listening in podcast form, please rate and review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Thank you all for your support. And until the next time, we are the G5 Hive.